This stuff here, Yerushalmi Yoma, and the articles edition. We're going to start from the bottom of Bays, Bays. The second last night, we did yesterday. We're going to do it again because being the sugya, and we're going to add a little bit to what we said yesterday. And in the Vilna, that is on Bays, Bays. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 lines on the top. Amar Beis China Amar. Asir Seifa Michlasayim Makvi. Asir Seifa and Michlasayim are impediment. Kohen does not bring Asir Seifa. Yesterday we said, of course, most of the portion, this means Asir Seifa brings on that he's consecrated to be a Kohen. Mayani Yeshua suggested that it's the Elam Miluim. The Asir Seifa was referenced in the Miluim, in the midbar, but most of our Shmuel is going on the Sirius Eifa, which the Kohen brings when he's Schanech, and even though Mesech Shkolim, it says that that's not Ma'akev. The Gra there changes the Girsa to say it is Ma'akev, and Shas brings it down over here, and you could say the Sukkot disagree, but as well, that Shkolim and Yuma disagree. Ours goes, it's Ma'akev. Why is that? So, Rabbi Chanina says, why? My time is Zeh v'Zeh Asiyah. That's very cryptic. So there's the name Moshe Korbanei, very radically different shatim. The Korbanei that seems to be the same shot as the Bavli. That's what the Reb Chaim says. And therefore that's what he learns. Not like Pnei Moshe. Pnei Moshe is simpler though. So I'll tell you both. It says let's do Korbanei first. Mishani Zeh Yolif Zeh Vizeh. Okay, well, those are really three things. Zeh, a second Zeh, and above of Vizeh because they're Shabbat. Ksiv Miluim Zeh the Rosh Hashanah Masos. Says by Miluim, this is what you got to do. See what says Eifa Zeh Karban Aron Vana B'Yom Mashiach Serious Eifa. Okay, so we see Zeh Rishava Zeh. So the serious Eifa to Miluim, just like Miluim is Makiv, so to serious Eifa is Makiv. V'Zeh Asiyah. See Miluim V'Zeh Davar. The Zeh which it says by Miluim is actually with a Vav. Zeh the Barshat Haseh Lohem Kaish Losam. Vav Yisera. There's an extra Vav. The Rabbos Michlasayim, this comes to include the pants that emanate b'inyan the begadim, which is mentioned there in the Miluim in terms of the begadim that they have to wear. Okay, fine. So that is the way the Korban learns it. So the word zeh and v'zeh are actual words in the Chumash. Pnei Moshe does not learn that way. Pnei Moshe learns zeh v'zeh means this and this. Not the words in the Chumash. It says asiyah by both these things. As the Moshe says, my name is Zevaz Sixibu, Sixiv Yaseosa. So they both have Asiyah. Zev, both these things mention Asiyah. For Parsha Tzavok, the Barshat, and since in this Parsha, the Parsha Miluim, it says in Parsha Tetzaveh, it says Zeh the Barshat, we include everything where it says where Asiyah is included what's Ma'akev in order for them to be their avoid to be considered to be kosher. The Rabbi China argues. Rabbi China said, "Vasisa Rabban of Kocha." That was Parshat Tetzaveh. Vasisa Rabban of because it was one of these rhyming psukim. But Vasisa Rabban of Kocha, Kocha Shetzivisi Osacha. So he says that the here? Yeah. So from here learns that everything which it says anything which is mentioned in the parsha but the tzava is an impediment. Now he doesn't make clear exactly what that is, what's he arguing. But I think I didn't see this written anywhere explicitly, but I think this is it's like this: Asir Seif is not Makiv. He holds like the Girsa in Shkolim that it's not Makiv. Why? Because they're in Vayikra. It's not written here. That's all these things written in Shmos. But Asir Seif is written in Vayikra. Right? It's in Vayikra. Vav Yud Gimel. So that Masir Seif is not going to be Makiv. On the other hand, at least according to the to Pnei Moshe. According to Korban, I guess as well. They only Rabbi China only say Miknasai Makiv, which is weird. But it's according to Korban, according to the Pnei Moshe, because Vaseilu Miknasai Ban only says Asiyah by Miknasai. Even according to the Pnei Moshe, the Pnei Korban says don't have an extra vav. I guess we'd say that because tafasa mubalo tafasta, we can only be marba one thing. That's a marba michnosayim. It's the first bag he puts on. But how do we? According to Rabbi China, we don't know the other part go to markev. Only michnosayim. How do we know the other? So according to Rabbi Chanina, no, all the other we're going to mention parsha too. So all the other we're going to be markev as well, not just michnosayim. Okay, so so I think that's the difference. Asir Sefer won't be Makev, but all the other begonim besides the Michal will be Makev. Okay. V'askem ayde Mari B'Shul Ben Nachman B'Shem Yerushalmi Zeh Hadavar V'Zeh Hadavar. So the question is he darshaning the extra vav or not darshaning the extra vav? But it doesn't seem like he's darshaning the extra vav. He's actually the two psukim, right? The one in Vayikra, which says Zeh Davar Shetzva Hashem Lasos, and the pasuk that's Vayikra Hey Ches Hey, and the pasuk in Shmos Chav Tes Aleph, which says Zeh Davar Shetzva Hashem Lasos. That in both these cases, Afilu Dibur Makev is Makev. Not only is whatever is written in the parsha the necessary for whatever we're learning out in each of the parshas, but even Dibur is possible to Makiv, right? So so we're learning out other things besides whatever is explicit, I guess. And that's what the Korban Eda says. Zed bar zed Dibur shafilu kriyas parshas miluin shlit staba v'atot tzaveh amalem letzibur b'chav gimel ador. He told them amak shlit schil miluim. And Miluim began. Because the Eidah Pesach Moed, Shem Tekel Eidah Begomer, all Eidah came together. You want to show Eidah Zeh Devar Shetzivar Shem Lasos. Because of Asiyas Miluim B'Tzavis Aaron. He told them all the Pesukim there. Now, so he just seems to say that it's going. The word Zeh teaches us that, and he doesn't even address the word Vizeh, which appears in Parshas Tetzaveh. But here the Pnei Moshe does actually look at the extra vav. The Pnei Moshe says. V'asya hada b'china lo marbinon ela me'ina parsha v'zeh kedosh v'shur b'yanason zeh davar ha'yitzich lichtov. It should have just said zeh davar. V'chsi v'zeh hadavar. He does dash the extra above. L'rabos shafilu kriyas a parsha shel tzabah makeves. Teaches us that even reading the command of the parsha is makev. Shekem Matzina, the Dvarim Shestab Moshe Pei Parshas Tetzaveh, V'Zeh Davar Shetas Elem Megomer, Amar Neisa B'Schus Meimluim. This is what he said to him. You see Parshas Tetzaveh with Kol Eidah V'Mashal Eidah Zeh Davar Shetzva Hashem Asos. So he says Almon the Lo Marbina Shai Dvarim Shlusku B'Parsha, but it only includes things which are mentioned in the parsha. Okay, so the according to the Korban, just from the word Zeh. And it says that's why I guess it says Zeh because it says it in Tetzaveh, which is I guess the Sivoy, and in the Tav it says the actual carrying out of the commandment to read it. And according to Pnei Moshe, we do learn out the extra above. And so because it says Vizeh in Parshas Tetzaveh, it says that from that we learn that the Kriya of the Parsha is Ma'akev. But in any event, it's only things which are mentioned in Parshas Tetzaveh, right? That are Ma'akev, even the Dibur. But not necessarily the Asir Sefer. Okay, Rabbi Yochanan has yet another shita. Rabbi Yochanan, Kol Ma'akev, not everything in the Parsha is Ma'akev. There are other things in the Parsha. And he says they're not all Ma'akev. Okay? Which they would be Ma'akev, but only according to Rabbi Chanina. So he says, anything which is an impediment for all generations. In other words, is intrinsic to avoid for all generations. Ma'akev kan was an impediment here, and the avoid is not kosher and miluim would not have been kosher without them having been done. Chosh ain't makir b'doros, and he was not makir b'doros, ain't a makir kam, it's not makir, not impediment here either. Okay, so he's obviously going specifically on the miluim, not our avoid for all generations. Till now, we've been learning that ma'akev means ma'akev l'doros. He's saying, well, I'm not talking about ma'akev l'doros, I'm talking about being ma'akev for the miluim. What is ma'akev miluim? What's not ma'akev miluim? So he says, my islach, what things are mentioned here which were done during the miluim, but they're not ma'akev because they're not ma'akev l'doros. Smicha, on the korbanos, shorei dami, and to pour the shiraim, the blood, on the base of the mizbeach. Shein makam l'doros, which is not impediment for the kashrus avodah l'doros. Korban Ada puts in the word, and so does Reb Chaim. And I'm guessing the art scroll does as well. Yeah, Einon. So she'ena makam l'doros, Einon makvin kan. Then our makam is here as well. Okay, Amar Rabbi Chanina. Going further with Rabbi Chanina here. Now, before we see what he says, actually, let's see the pasuk itself. It says in Parashat Tzav, "Chagartos Nate." You should put the gartos on all the kohanim, Aaron and Vanov. Chavash lemikbos, and put on their hats. And then there'll be kohanim for eternity. And that is their miluim. So Rabbi China says, even though it sounds like you first put on all of Natim, then all the mitznafos, Achina tzitz umitzevas shel Aaron kolam avnei shabanim. No, the tzitz and mitzevas came. He put on before the avnate of his children. Okay, the Gilei Shas says it's a typo here. It says in Gimel. Vemes nira the high tzitz toes sofrimu. It's a mistake. Tzorchamar kesoinus has to be the kesoinus. V'cheinu b'shas ilon, that's also that way in the Bavli. So the tzitz will come in later. V'gam ech lovash tzitz midei kohen gadol. How would he put on tzitz for the midei kohen gadol? Terem shlovash b'idei kohen hediot. First he'd have to fully garb himself as kohen hediot and then put on a tzitz. So he'd have to put on the tzitz after the forebeginning of the kohen hediot. Only the time of chinuch we have to put in snippets first. First put on all the garments kohen hedion. And afterwards the garments kohen gadol. Much closer ritva. Avludoros, but for all generations, in fact, he puts in mitznefes afterwards, which goes to Rambam Perigud Miklei Mikdash Halacha Gimel. But okay, later, in fact, Ladoros, he would put on the mitznefes later on. But at the time of the chinuch, he would have to put on the mitznefes before the earlier, before the his additional begadim, and therefore the word tzitz should be taken out here. Now, the Gemara itself is very shorthand. The art scroll brings down the psukim, which clarify this in note 12. It says, in pasuk Hey and Vav in Paragraph Des, who bashtos Aaron es ketones. That's why the Gilshas changed seats to ketones. Ves milei fod ves efod ves achoshen. Santa mitznefes rosho v'nosatas nezar kodesh al mitznefes, and then put the seats on the mitznefes. Okay, so the seats came afterwards. When it came, we don't know, but it does mention the ketones clearly, together with the milofon and choshen prior to the mitznefes. So in any event, the avnate of Aaron is not mentioned there. The Torah later on says in Psukim Ches and Tes, v'yishlam chutanos for Aaron's kids, v'chagartos amavnate Aaron u'banav. So it sounds like the avnate of all of them came later on. So the Chin is saying. Now, it's a little bit difficult on what the Gilei Shas says, because Gilei Shas says we have to put on all the begadim of the Kohen Gadol before you put on the extra begadim of the Kohen Hedid before you put the extra Kohen Gadol, but it doesn't sound that way from the pasuk. It says so unless you're going to say that no, it's only the sound time. It's never Sarosha, which comes first, but The point is that definitely mitznefes is mentioned separately. Aaron's mitznefes is mentioned separately than the mikbaos of Aaron's kids. So therefore, the mitznefes of Aaron had to come earlier, and then the Avneitim, they came together later on. Okay, so let's read inside again. Amrechina tzitz mitznefes shel Aaron. You use the word tzitz, you don't use the word tzitz. According to Avneito Shabbat, comes to Avneit of the children, where Aaron got also together with the children. And you the Rebbe Omer, he explains, but he says Chagarto some Avneit Aaron Abanim, right? Aaron Abanim, they got the Avneitim together. So Amr Rabbi said le mitzvah. That's in terms of the commandment. In other words, you're right that that's the way it seems from the tzivui. But when it came to Maisa, when it came to the kiyum mitzvah, right? Or the I'm sorry. I read it backwards. The mitzvah. I didn't read it backwards. Read it right way, but I explained it backwards. The mitzvah. That's when the mitzvah is given. Aval tzivui, which is a fascinating language because tzivui here means the same thing as saying lemaisa. When it came lemaisa, so then that's not the way it actually happened. So although Rabbi China has this drasha, it's not the way it actually occurred. Now, although I corrected myself, in the Shai Torah's Eretz Yisrael, he taka changed the girsa. He changed it the way I said it when I explained it. That amar litzivui. Avo lemitzvah, that's not the way he actually did it. Okay. Now, by the way, I want to tell you, the Shai Torah and others say that Yehuda Rebbe does not agree with Rabbi China, does not explain Rabbi China, disagrees with Rabbi China. But I think the more pressure shot is that Yehuda Rebbe is agreeing with Rabbi China, so I'm not going to give the Shai Torah a shot on that. Just going to go with this change, which I think it does help. That Litzivui, it was different, but when it came to the mitzvah, they actually did not do it that way. And how we see it didn't do that way. So the Gemara itself is a mekatzer. It says Vayakre Moshe Aaron when in parts of the Pesukim we're discussing when Shmos Chavtes and Tetzav and Parshas Tetzav it actually says Vayakre Moshe Aaron v'Esmerav v'Chatzon b'Mayim Chayitin lo v'Sukotonos v'Chai v'Kach Moshe Aaron v'Nov v'Habishen Kutonos. So that's a little bit chosser there. What exactly happened? So the carbon 8 is mashlemit. It says, "Avatziva v'Akrei Moshe es Aaron." We don't have the mitzvah. It is v'Akrei Moshe es Aaron v'Chulei v'Char Yitin lo v'Skonos v'Arko Oso b'Avneit. So he got Aaron got fully dressed with his avneit, and only afterwards v'Char v'Akrei Moshe es Aaron v'Abishen Kutonos v'Arko Oso b'Avneit. Right. So the way he learns it is that the mitzvah the tzibui is a chatchila. Very strange. I don't like all that pshat. I think it just means lemaisa. What happened was that when they came to do the maisa, he didn't do it that way. So therefore, Rabbi China said it's a nice drasha in Shmos, but in Vayikra, when the cap came to maisa, they didn't actually follow through on that, and Aaron got fully dressed before, including his avneit, before his sons even started getting dressed. And their avneit, of course, came later. And that also is the way Reb Chaim learns it. Okay, so the going on. Pashadu, the Reb Chaim says we have a Mesorah. Not that it's simple to us, but we have a Mesorah. Kormena learns Kipshuta. The Pashadu learn Hadavar Borish Lo Shirish Moshe Shivas Milim El Chok Lavan for Lo Big Day Kahuna. What does the name Moshe say here? And Bnei Moshe has a whole different shot, by the way, of course, and what we just learned about mitzvah tzivui, but Bnei Moshe learns like Reb Chaim. Reb Chaim got from the Bnei Moshe. Pashu mekubalim menachem pi hashmur. Okay, so that's two different shatim here. Anyway, Amar Belezer Yossi Pasha Du Shabulan Chok Love and Shemish Moshe. Those days, Moshe Ben is Mishamish in Shivas Meimulim. He was Mishamish in a simple white cloak. Amar Bitan Chol Bayudan V'Tani Lo. Let's have a brisa. It says this. Chol Shivas Meimulim. Moshe Mishamish Gdola. V'lo shorsa shchina ayodam. But the shchina did not devolve in the Beis Hamikdash through him, because it's meant to be devolved by Aaron. Became Shlovish Aaron Bigdei Kahuna Gedola. So Moshe, because Moshe didn't wear the Bigdei Kahuna. And Aaron came and put on the Bigdei Kahuna Gedola, but Shemesh, and he served on the 8th day of the Miluim. Then, which is Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Shorsa Shechina Ayodam. Shechina came by him. By the way, I just saw this looking up here. I knew this before. Reb Chaim Taka makes the same to change the Shad Teresol. Change the mitzvah tzivah and the tzivah to the mitzvah. Oh, okay. I didn't notice that before. I should point out that Reb Chaim never uses the Shai Teres Yisrael. The Reb Chaim uses very little Yisrael. I don't think I've ever seen him quote a Mashbiach either. That's just his. He had his repertoire. But anyway, so the Reb Chaim came up with that idea of changing the mitzvah and tzibur around, not the Asatzma, not by the Shai Teres Yisrael. Okay, I wonder if the article is. Now that I noticed that, the article make that change in the tzibur and the mitzvah? No, it does not. Okay, so the so back here. So my timer. Where did we learn that there was no Hashras Shechina until the 8th day? Hayom Hashem nira aleichem, because it says ki hayom. That was on the 8th day, and that the inference is that today, because the assumption is because today Aaron with his avodah, the Bikuna's brought the Shechina. Rabbi Yisachina boy. Rabbi Yisachina said, Asira Sa'efa. Okay, on the 8th Miluim, the Asira Sa'efa. So as a Korban Eida, he minchas chabitim shal kohen gadol makri b'chol yom, machtzitza b'boker, machtzitza b'arev. He only brings half a morning, half a night. Except we said the Shkolim, if you have a change of the guard, different kohen gadol in the morning, could be kohen gadol at night. They bring each with a question. Each one brings his own full Asira Sa'efa. Or the half, all the discussion we had back then. But anyway, Aaron didn't start the day as going to go. He finished the day as going to go. What do you do? Hey, Kreva. Chetzer Kreva, was he makriv the half in our bime? Right? Shlema Kreva, or was he makriv Shlema, the whole thing? So the way the Moshe says it was he makriv, even though he wasn't officially Kohen Gadol in the morning yet, but he was makriv the half in the morning anyway, and half in the evening as well. The Gilin Ephraim, named Noam Yerushalmi, says that all 7 days of Miluim until the 8th day, the Mishkan had a din bama, where there are no chabitin. So the question is, on the 8th day when Aaron was nischanech in the morning, was he mischanech in the morning and he sacrificed chabitin in the morning, like any day, or is nischanech b'tzorayim? He came chanech in the afternoon, and therefore he was makrib the entire thing, bein harbaim. And the Gilin Ephraim is mechalik between our case and the case of Kohen Gadol Shemes. He says that it's not the same thing. So we'll see how this plays out here. It says that Moshe and Aaron came to Moed together on the 8th day. So he says that he only taught him in the afternoon how to do the Ketores. Let's see the pasuk. The pasuk says, so it doesn't say in the pasuk actually that explicitly how he came to teach the Ketores. I guess that we had a Messiah that he came to teach him the Ketores. Yeah, I don't see that as explicit here. What does Chaim say? No, there's no explicit derivation here. There's a whole lumdus here, but not an explicit derivation. So but the point is Vayavo Moshe Aaron el Oel. You know what? I guess it's no. Actually, it is pretty explicit now I think about it, because it says they came Oel Moed. Oel Moed means they came into the Heichal. And what are they going to Heichal for? Why does Moshe have to come in with him? So Moshe is going in to teach him about the Ketores. Okay, so okay. What about everything else? He must have told him everything else in the morning. Now, if the Chavitim only brought in the afternoon, so then he couldn't tell him the Chavitim in the morning. He would have to teach him in the afternoon. Right? So when he came in. So since it only comes to Moshe El O Moed, Lamed Shlobai Lamed Ma'askar Sadama Chetziom Kreva. In other words, the art school says, I'm sure he gets it from somewhere. Chetz also has Chetzia Kreva. You can read a Chetzoim or a Chetzia. It means in halves, right? It was sacrificed. Because in Tamar Shlema Kreva, and this day Ma'askar Sadama Let's say he can teach them both. Because, okay, Karbas he taught in the morning, but here's Eifa. Should have had to teach him in the afternoon. It must be that he sacrificed half of it in the morning. Even though he wasn't yet fully Kohen Gadol, but he already brought in the morning. So, Rabbi Tanchum, by Yudah, no, not necessarily. V'lo b'avodah shebifnim anu kayomin. Could be that it's the Torah specifically about avodah shebepnim. Shekvar limda avodah shebachutz. He right term avodah shebachutz outside, but perhaps only told him in the afternoon. So again, what he's saying is that it could be at 5:00 in the afternoon. He went in with him to teach him the Ketores. And before that, at 4:00, he taught him the Chavitin, but not in the morning. Could be in the morning. They didn't do the Chavitin. In the afternoon, it just this pasuk is talking about the denuma, the end when they finally went inside to do the last avodas of the day, including the Ketores Shaben Harbaim. But it doesn't mean the Chavitin didn't mess in the morning. Could be in the afternoon earlier, right? Okay, so the Gemara says. A general question about the Miluim. Miluim, Mayu, carbon Yachid, carbon Tzibur. It says those that have carbon Yachid or have a carbon Tzibur. Of course, it's have a carbon Yachid, carbon Tzibur, including who pays for it, right? Does Aaron pay out of his pocket? Aaron brought it to his pocket. They come from the Chuma Salishka. So, what was their status? So, Mayu, carbon Yachid, Mayu Tzibur Smucha, I don't know if it's Yedem a Rosha Ayo, since they did Smicha on the head of the aisle, Hadam with the Elam Miluim, Hadam Ra carbon Yachid. So it must be a carbon Yachid, because otherwise, what right they have to do smicha on a carbon tzibur? There is no smicha on a carbon tzibur, as the Pnei Moshe as Korban points out here. The ain't carbon tzibur turn smicha. So what type carbon tzibur? So it says Gemara. Well, we learned the Brisa which says that it's a carbon tzibur. So what do you do with that? Rav Idi said, Nisnadvu tzibur. It's tzibur, in fact, paid for the karbanos. Umitzarim lahem. And they gave him over to Aaron and his children to use for their miluim. Miluim echel lamdu. So miluim echel lamdu. So it says miboile hotzik miluim pesach omei tishul yomam v'layla shivas yomim. We have to sit there 7 days. What do we to what do we draw a parallel those days? In the karbanos, if it's a karbanos shechan yom v'layla, in a day and the following night. So miluim that they have to sit there 7 days. They have to sit there also the 8th night there. But not the first night. The Shiva Seyamim of those 7 days. Or the Ma'aser based on that meaning, where the that's the other way around. It's a type of Korban Heda. It's the type also in the art scroll. Yeah. It's a typo. Okay, both of them. It should typo. Should be Shayoma Lechachalayla. But Yoshin Lai L'Shen, so it'd be the first night there, the Lo Achrena, right? Basic Lo Ivshtar. The basic concludes U the Lo, yeah, it's not Ivshtar. So like Mark explains it, like the Korban just explained it. In Tamer Mika Carbon, so again, Melecha Mir, Carbonos and Masturbatious. In Tamer Carbonos, Halala Chayom. Then Masturbatious, Hayom, Halala Chayla. In Tamer Carbonos, going to learn from Carbonos. Lila Achron Ein Lo Yom. The last night doesn't have a day because it follows the day. In Tamer Masturbatious, Yom Rishon Ein Lo Lila. Then the first day does not have a night. That's interesting. I didn't mention that. Yeah, I guess no matter what, they started during the day of the first day. They didn't start the night before. So Yom Rishon and Lila, there wasn't a complete 7 days. So it was even if you hold that it goes after Korbanah. So it was 7 24-hour days, day night, day night, day night, day night, etc. Until day night of the seventh day, including the night of the 8th. But if you're going to start if you're going to say it goes as my celebration, then you had day, night day, night day, night day, night day, until the final night day, and the first day didn't have a night which preceded it. Okay, good point. So the Gemara doesn't resolve this question. There's no one to change the gear, so but I don't think we have to. Not necessary for our purposes right now. And that brings us to the end of the Amud and this question, which is not resolved. So we'll stop here. It's kind of long enough.